my dear child, stop for a moment. Let everything else wait. In the middle of all the noise, all the responsibilities, and all the distractions surrounding your life, you have arrived at a quiet moment for a reason. Sky. This is not just another pause in your day. This moment carries meaning, and I want you to understand that you are here because you were drawn into this place of stillness. Before you ever searched for answers, before you ever questioned your purpose, before anyone else knew your name, you were already known. The path that brought you here was not random. Every turn, every delay, every season where you felt lost or uncertain, every door that closed when you thought it should have opened, none of it was wasted. Even in the moments when you felt like you were wandering without direction, you were never truly alone. I was present in the places you did not understand. I was working through the paths you did not choose and protecting you from things you could not see. Some opportunities disappeared because they were never meant to carry you where you were supposed to go. Some doors remained closed because behind them were things that would have taken more from you than they could ever give. And some doors that you thought were gone forever were being held open for the right moment. Nothing about your journey has been meaningless. Not one step, not one struggle, not one season of waiting. This moment is not an accident, and you have not come this far just to be forgotten now. I know what exists beneath the surface of your life. I am not speaking only to the version of yourself that you show the world. I am speaking to the hidden places in your heart. The questions you carry when no one else is watching, the thoughts that appear in the quiet hours when everything around you becomes still. You have wondered if you are truly seen. You have questioned whether your prayers reached beyond the ceiling above you. You have watched time pass and seasons change, and in moments when you stopped pretending everything was fine, you wondered if anything would ever truly change. But hear this clearly. Every word you have spoken in prayer has been heard. Every silent cry, every tear you tried to hide, every feeling you could not explain. None of it disappeared. You have never been speaking into emptiness. You have never been invisible. The world may have taught you to measure yourself by different standards. It may have convinced you that your value depends on what you accomplish, how much you provide, or how little difficulty you create for others. But that is not how I see you. I see the person behind the effort. I see someone who has carried burdens that were heavier than anyone realized. I see someone who learned how to keep moving even when they were exhausted. You became skilled at handling everything alone. Not because you wanted that responsibility, but because life taught you that you had to. You learned to wear a smile like a shield. Every morning, you stepped into the world and showed strength, because that was what the moment required. Over time, that expression became so familiar that sometimes you forgot there was a weight hidden underneath it. But I saw everything. I saw the tiredness that rest could not completely remove. I saw the questions you kept buried because you did not know who would understand them. I saw the pain you placed aside because life demanded that you continue. I saw the desire inside you for someone to look beyond the surface and recognize the real person underneath. And today, I want you to know this. I see you, not the image you created for others, not the version you believe you need to become. I see you exactly as you are right now, with your uncertainties, your struggles, your unfinished healing, and your unanswered questions. And I love what I see. You were never created to carry every burden by yourself. This is not because you are weak. Your endurance has been remarkable. And every moment of strength has been seen. But you were never designed to walk through life, believing that everything depends only on your ability to hold it together. You were created for connection, You were created to receive help, to experience support, to allow yourself to be carried when the weight becomes too much. Yet many seasons of hardship have trained you to keep everything balanced. You have tried to hold every responsibility, solve every problem, and prevent anything from falling apart. You have lived as though the entire world would collapse if you finally placed the weight down. But today, I am asking you to release that burden. Set it down for a moment. Allow yourself to breathe. The universe is not held together by your strength alone, and your life is not dependent only on your ability to control every outcome. The silence around you right now is not emptiness. Do not mistake quietness for abandonment, This moment of stillness has been created so you can hear what has been difficult to hear. Through the constant noise of life, the demands, the expectations, the endless responsibilities, and the pressure to always be available have pulled you in many directions. But now you have been brought back to this place so you can remember what truly matters. This silence is a place of reflection, a place where you can recognize what has been happening within you and around you. There are things that need to end. There are things that are beginning. There are wounds that need healing and fears that need to be released. So stay with me through this moment. Before anything else, remember this truth. You are seen, you are known, and you are welcomed exactly where you are. Not only the future version of yourself, not only the person you hope to become someday, but the person standing here today, with everything unfinished and everything still developing. That is the person I am speaking to. That is the person I love, The voice that has been speaking against you for so long has tried to convince you of something that is not true. It has taken the difficult moments of your life, the disappointments, the losses, the unanswered questions, and the seasons of waiting, then used them to build a false conclusion in your mind. That conclusion is simple but painful, that you have been forgotten. But that is not the truth, The closed doors, the unexpected endings, and the opportunities that disappeared were never proof that you were abandoned, They were moments you could not fully understand because you could not yet see what was happening beyond them. What looked like rejection was sometimes protection. What felt like loss was sometimes redirection. Think about the doors that never opened even though you prayed for them. At the time, they may have felt like evidence that something was wrong. You may have wondered why things did not happen when you wanted them to happen. But there were things on the other side of those doors that you could not see. Some paths would have taken you away from the person you were becoming. Some relationships would have caused wounds that you were not prepared to carry. Some opportunities would have demanded more from you than you had the strength to give at that moment. You saw a closed door. But there was a bigger picture that you could not see, the relationship that ended, the opportunity that passed, the direction that suddenly changed. None of those moments happened without purpose. There are times when protection feels exactly like disappointment because we do not yet understand what we are being protected from. Your name is not written temporarily. It is not something that can disappear when circumstances change. It is not erased by your mistakes, your failures, or the difficult seasons you have survived. The things that happen to you do not determine your worth, even during the moments when heaven felt silent and your prayers seemed unanswered. There was still movement happening beyond what your eyes could recognize. There were things being arranged, things being prepared, and things being removed because they were not connected to where you were meant to go. The waiting was not wasted. The delays were not meaningless. The nights when you cried and wondered if anything would ever change were not forgotten. Sometimes growth happens beneath the surface before anything becomes visible above it. Just like a seed hidden underground. The most important work can happen in places nobody else can see. I know there are moments when waiting has been one of the hardest battles you have faced. It is one thing to experience difficulty, Guy. But it is another thing to call out for help and feel like the answer is taking too long. You have asked questions in those quiet moments. You have wondered if your prayers mattered. Guy. You have wondered if others received answers while you continued waiting. You have questioned whether the silence meant that you were overlooked. But silence does not always mean absence. Guy. There are moments when the silence is where preparation happens. The answer is not always delayed because it has been denied. Sometimes the preparation must come before the promise. Guy. Sometimes the foundation must become strong enough to carry what is coming. A blessing that arrives before you are ready can become a burden instead of a gift. Guy. A door that opens too early can lead you somewhere you were never prepared to remain. So the waiting has been doing something inside you. It has been building patience. Guy. It has been strengthening your ability to trust. It has been creating depth that could not have developed any other way. You may not have noticed it because transformation often happens slowly. Guy. But the person you are today is not the same person who entered that difficult season. You have learned things. You have endured things. You have discovered strength that you did not know existed. Guy. And I have seen every tear along the way. I have seen the moments when you continued even though you felt exhausted. Guy. I have seen the mornings when you had to force yourself forward after nights that felt overwhelming. I have seen the moments when someone asked how you were doing. Guy. And you answered that you were fine even though you were carrying much more than you admitted. You thought nobody noticed. But you were never unseen. The pain you carried privately was still known. Guy. The battles you fought silently were still recognized. The strength it took to continue when you felt empty was not ignored. That season was never meant to become your permanent place. You were passing through it. Guy. And even if you cannot see the entire road ahead yet, you are not standing where you used to stand. Now I want you to understand something about the difficult seasons you have faced. Guy. Some experiences are not meant to destroy you. Some experiences reveal what is truly inside you. There are moments in life that feel like fire. Moments when everything familiar seems to be tested. Guy. Things you trusted, things you depended on, and things you thought would always remain stable suddenly begin to change. During those seasons, it is natural to ask why. Why did this happen? Why was this allowed? Guy. Why did something I valued have to be removed? But the fire was never meant to be your end. It was a process of transformation. Guy. A refiner does not place something valuable into the fire because they want to destroy it. They do it because they know the heat can remove what does not belong and reveal what is truly precious. Guy. The fire does not create the value. It reveals it. In the same way, your difficult seasons did not define your worth. They revealed your strength, your faith, Guy, and the parts of you that remained even when everything else was being tested. The process was painful, but it was not pointless. The things that could not survive the pressure were removed. Guy. The false foundations were shaken. The things you depended on that could never truly support you were exposed. And what remained was something stronger. A deeper faith, a stronger character. Guy. A heart that learned compassion through experience. You may still look at what was lost and feel the pain of it. You may still remember what the fire took from you. But do not only look at the ashes. Guy. Look at what survived, because what survived has value, and the same places where you experience the greatest pain can become the places where healing becomes the most visible. Guy. Your story is not ending in the fire. It is being shaped through it. The difficult seasons you walked through were not the end of your story. The pain you experienced was real, and the losses you faced mattered. Guy. But they were not the final definition of who you are. What you endured has become part of your story. Guy. And one day, the very places that hurt the most may become the places where your strength and compassion are most clearly revealed. You did not survive those moments simply to keep them hidden forever. The lessons, the patience, and the understanding you gained through hardship can become a source of encouragement for others who are still facing their own struggles. Comfort you received in your hardest moments can become the comfort you offer to someone else who feels alone. I know there are times when you still question your own strength. You look back at what happened and wonder how you managed to continue. You remember the moments when giving up felt easier than moving forward. When the distance between what you hoped for and what you could see seemed impossible to cross. But you continued, even when your confidence was weak, even when your answers were incomplete. Even when you did not understand what was happening, you kept moving. That persistence matters. The choice to continue during difficult seasons is not something small. It is evidence of a strength that was already growing inside you. Now I want to speak about something you may have misunderstood about yourself for a long time. Your sensitivity, the way you feel things deeply. The way certain words stay with you. The way you can sense when something is wrong even when nobody says it out loud. The way you notice emotions and struggles that others may overlook. For a long time, you may have considered this a weakness. You may have wished you could become less affected. You may have tried to build emotional walls because carrying the feelings of others became exhausting. You may have believed that being deeply moved by people's pain meant something was wrong with you, but sensitivity is not automatically a weakness. There is a difference between feeling deeply and carrying everything that you feel. You were never meant to become cold, just because the world can be painful. You were never meant to lose compassion simply because compassion can sometimes hurt. The ability to understand others, to notice what remains unspoken, and to respond with kindness is something valuable. But there is also wisdom in understanding what belongs to you and what does not. For many years, you may have absorbed the emotions of everyone around you. You carried worries that were never yours to carry. You took responsibility for problems you could not solve. You walked away from conversations feeling exhausted because you carried not only your own struggles, but also the struggles of others. You became overwhelmed because you were trying to hold things that were never meant to rest on your shoulders. There is a difference between caring and carrying. Caring means showing love, offering support, and being present. Carrying means taking ownership of a burden that belongs somewhere else. You were created to love people, but you were never created to become responsible for everything they experience. Learn to recognize the difference. You can listen without absorbing every emotion. You can support someone without losing yourself. You can care deeply while still protecting your own peace. Your compassion is not the problem. The problem was believing that compassion required you to carry every burden alone. Now, I want to talk about the people who walked away from your life. Some of the deepest wounds do not come from strangers. They come from people we trusted. People we invested time, love, and energy into. People we believed would remain beside us. When they left, it did not only feel like losing a person. It created questions. Was something wrong with me? Could I have done something differently? If I had been better, would they have stayed? But not every departure is a reflection of your failure. Sometimes people leave because their role in your journey has ended. Sometimes relationships change because growth requires a different environment. Sometimes holding on to something that no longer fits your future prevents you from receiving what comes next. Not everyone who begins the journey with you is meant to walk every step with you. Some connections are temporary, some relationships are lessons. Some people are part of one chapter, but not the entire story. that does not mean they had no value. It means their purpose in your life was different than you expected. The space created by certain endings can eventually make room for healthier connections. People who encourage your growth. Sky. People who recognize your value. People who can walk beside you without requiring you to become smaller. The empty spaces left behind are not always signs of loss. Sometimes they are preparation. Sky. Sometimes something has to leave before something new can enter. And now, I want you to understand the importance of trust. Trust is not built only during easy seasons. Sky. Anyone can believe when everything is going according to plan. True trust develops when circumstances are unclear and the path ahead is uncertain. The moments when you continued, despite not having all the answers, were important. The moments when you chose hope even when disappointment felt easier were meaningful. Every act of faith mattered. Every time you chose patience instead of giving up. Every time you chose kindness instead of bitterness. Every time you kept going when nobody noticed. Those moments shaped who you are becoming. You may have thought those ordinary days did not matter, but they did. The quiet decisions, the unseen efforts, the private battles nobody knew about, they all contributed to your growth. And now you are entering a season where what was developed in private can begin to become visible. The foundation has been forming. The roots have been growing. The work that happened beneath the surface was not wasted. Just because something is unseen does not mean nothing is happening. A seed buried in the ground may look inactive, but beneath the surface, life is already beginning. The roots are spreading. The foundation is developing. The preparation is taking place before the growth becomes visible. Your waiting season has not been empty. Something has been forming. The season of hidden growth has been preparing you for what comes next. For a long time you may have looked around and wondered why nothing seemed to change. You planted, you waited, you hoped, and you continued forward even when the ground appeared silent. But silence above the surface does not mean nothing is happening beneath it. A farmer understands this process. When a seed is planted, it disappears into the darkness of the soil. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. But beneath the surface, the seed is breaking open, roots are forming, and life is beginning to move toward the light. The farmer does not dig up the seed every day to check if it is growing. Doing that would interrupt the very process that creates the harvest. There are seasons where patience is not a sign of inactivity. It is a sign that something deeper is being built. That has been true in your life as well. The waiting has been developing things that could not have been created instantly. Your patience, your endurance, your ability to trust during uncertain moments, and your strength during difficult circumstances have all been forming a foundation. Those roots are what will support the growth ahead. Because when something valuable is coming, the foundation must be strong enough to carry it. Now understand this, the hidden season does not last forever. There comes a moment when what has been developing beneath the surface begins to appear. The field that once looked empty begins to show signs of life. The seeds planted through faith, perseverance, and patience begin to produce results. But this is also the moment when fear often tries to return. When you are close to change, old doubts can become louder. The voice that tells you not to hope too much may appear again. The fear of disappointment may try to convince you that expecting something good will only lead to pain, but that voice is not wisdom. It is the memory of previous wounds trying to protect you from something that has not happened. Do not allow past disappointments to steal future possibilities. Do not abandon the field just before the harvest begins. Take the next step even if you feel uncertain. Courage does not always mean feeling fearless. Sometimes courage means moving forward while fear is still present. You do not need to have everything figured out before you move. You only need enough faith for the next step. The small steps matter. Sky. The decisions nobody noticed mattered. The moments when you continued despite exhaustion mattered. You were being prepared even in ordinary days that seemed unimportant. The world often celebrates dramatic moments, but much of life is shaped in quiet places. It is shaped on regular mornings when you choose to continue. It is shaped in private moments when you choose patience. Sky. It is shaped when you show kindness, even though nobody recognizes it. Those moments were not invisible. They were part of your story. Now I want to speak about something that has caused many people to struggle. Sky. Identity. Many battles are not fought only around circumstances. Some of the greatest battles happen within the way you see yourself. Over time, painful experiences can attach labels to your identity. Sky. You may begin to believe that you are defined by your failures, your past, your mistakes, or the things that did not work out. You may have accepted thoughts like, I am too damaged. I am too late. Sky. I am not enough. My best days are behind me. But those thoughts do not represent the complete truth of who you are. Your circumstances are not your identity. Your mistakes are not your identity. Sky. The opinions of others are not your identity. You are more than the difficult chapters of your life. You are more than the moments when you struggled. You are more than the things you lost. The labels created by pain do not have the authority to define you forever. The identity you carry should not be built on temporary situations. You are still valuable during seasons when you are growing. Sky. You are still worthy during seasons when you are healing. You are still important during seasons when you are uncertain. Do not measure your entire life by one difficult chapter. Sky. A single chapter does not determine the ending of the story. There are dreams you quietly placed aside because disappointment became too heavy. There were hopes you stopped talking about because it felt safer not to expect too much. You called it being realistic. You called it accepting reality. But sometimes what looks like maturity is actually fear trying to prevent another disappointment. There are desires and dreams that remain meaningful because they reflect something deeper within you. Sky. They may have been buried under years of frustration, but buried does not mean destroyed. Sometimes dreams rest before they return. Sometimes hope becomes quiet before it becomes strong again. The things you once cared about may still have a place in your future. The difficult seasons did not erase your purpose. They shaped you. They prepared you. Sky. They gave you understanding that you would not have gained any other way. Now there is also a place where healing must happen. Your mind, the thoughts you repeat every day, have tremendous power. Sky. If you constantly replay your failures, those thoughts can become a prison. Many people carry battles in their minds that nobody else can see. They replay old mistakes. They imagine future problems before they happen. They believe negative thoughts because those thoughts have become familiar. But familiarity does not always mean truth. A thought can feel natural and still be wrong. You do not have to accept every thought that enters your mind. You can choose what deserves your attention. You can replace fear with truth. You can replace shame with growth. You can replace hopelessness with the understanding that your story is still being written. Your mind was not created to live under constant pressure and fear. It was created for peace, creativity, clarity, and wisdom. The moment you stop allowing old wounds to control your thoughts is the moment you begin to experience freedom. And remember this, the people you love and pray for are not outside of care and compassion. Many times you carry concerns for others so deeply that you forget they also have their own journey. You worry about their choices. You worry about their struggles. You want to fix situations that are beyond your control. But love does not mean carrying everything alone. You can care without destroying your own peace. Guy, you can pray without living in constant fear. You can support others while trusting that their journey is not only in your hands. Guy, the same patience and compassion you are learning to offer yourself can also be extended toward others. Because just as you are still growing, they are still growing too. Every person has a process. Guy, every person has a story unfolding, and sometimes the greatest act of love is learning when to release what you cannot control. The ground beneath your feet may have looked empty for a long time. Guy, but the season of preparation has not been wasted. Something has been growing, something has been forming, and what was once hidden is beginning to move toward the light. Guy, the moment has come to understand what happens after the hidden season. The growth that took place beneath the surface was not temporary, and it was not without purpose. Every challenge, every lesson, Guy, every moment of patience, and every time you chose to continue when things felt uncertain was shaping the person you are becoming. Now the focus is not only on what is changing around you, Guy, but also on what is changing within you. The greatest transformation is not always found in circumstances. Sometimes the most important work happens inside the heart, where trust, peace, Guy, and understanding begin to grow. I want you to learn the value of rest. For so long, you have believed that everything depends on your effort. You have carried responsibilities, expectations, Guy, and worries as though the entire weight of your life rests only on your shoulders. You have tried to control every outcome because uncertainty felt too dangerous. But rest is not giving up, rest is trust. Rest is recognizing that you were never meant to hold everything together by your own strength. It is allowing yourself to breathe and accept that there are things beyond your control. You do not have to earn the right to rest. You do not have to prove your value through constant struggle. Your worth is not measured by how exhausted you become. There is strength in knowing when to stop, when to release, and when to allow peace to enter your life. The world may tell you that slowing down means falling behind, but sometimes slowing down is exactly what allows you to move forward with greater clarity and purpose. Protect the peace that has been growing inside you, because the same fears and doubts that challenged you before may try to return. Old thoughts may attempt to convince you that nothing has changed. Old insecurities may try to bring back the labels you worked so hard to overcome, but you do not have to return to the person you were before. You are not defined by your past. You are not trapped by old patterns. You can remember who you are and move forward with confidence. When fear tells you that you are forgotten, remember the truth. When doubt tells you that you are not enough, remember the truth. When the past tries to convince you that your future is limited, remember the truth. Your story is still unfolding. The challenges you faced were not proof that you were abandoned. They were moments where strength was developed, wisdom was gained, and your character was shaped. The difficult chapters were not the end of the book. There are still pages left to be written. There are still experiences ahead that you cannot yet see. There are still opportunities, connections, and moments of growth waiting beyond the places where you once felt stuck. Do not allow fear to make decisions for you. Fear often speaks loudly because it remembers pain. It remembers what happened before and tries to protect you from experiencing it again. But protection that keeps you from moving forward can become another form of limitation. Healing means learning to move again. It means allowing yourself to hope again. It means believing that the future can hold something different from the past. Now remember the truth about your purpose. You were not created randomly. The qualities within you, the compassion you carry, the experiences you have survived, the lessons you have learned, and even the difficult parts of your story all contribute to who you are becoming. Nothing about your journey has been meaningless. Sky. The moments you thought were wasted may have been preparing you. The delays you questioned may have been developing you. The struggles you wished had never happened may have given you the understanding needed to help others. Sometimes the greatest impact comes from the places where we once experienced the greatest pain. The person who has walked through difficulty can often understand another person's struggle in a way nobody else can. Your story has value, not because everything was perfect, not because you avoided hardship, but because you continued through it. There are people who will one day need the wisdom, patience, and compassion that your journey has developed inside you. The experiences you wanted to forget may become the experiences that allow you to encourage someone else. The wounds that once caused pain may become reminders of healing. The seasons where you felt alone may become the reason you recognize someone else who feels the same way. Never underestimate what can grow from a difficult chapter. A field that looks empty can still produce a harvest. A person who feels broken can still experience renewal. A dream that has been delayed can still have purpose. Do not let the timing of your journey convince you that something is impossible. Growth does not always happen according to your schedule. Preparation often takes longer than expected because lasting things require strong foundations. The strongest trees do not grow overnight. The deepest roots take time. And the things that last are usually built slowly. Continue moving forward. Continue believing. Continue becoming. The road ahead does not require you to have every answer today. It requires you to take the next step with trust. There will still be uncertain moments. There will still be questions. There will still be days when you need patience. But you do not have to face them the same way you did before. You have learned, you have grown, you have discovered strength that was already inside you. Carry this truth with you. You are seen, you are known, and your life has meaning. You are not defined by what was taken from you. You are not defined by the moments you struggled. You are not defined by the opinions of others. You are defined by the purpose, value, and potential that exist within you. Walk forward with courage. The future is not something you have to fear. It is something you can approach with hope. The same strength that helped you survive difficult seasons can help you build something new. The same patience that carried you through waiting can guide you into what comes next. And the same heart that endured can become the heart that inspires. Your journey is not over. The best chapters are not always the easiest ones, but they are often the ones that reveal the greatest growth. Keep going. Keep believing. Keep becoming the person you were always capable of becoming. Your story continues from here.